All right, friends, we are back with another video on JasonBlaha. We're going to do a reaction video to JasonBlaha. Let's see what he has to say today, the gym lifting recruiting slave. He's getting really thin. I think the TRT is working, it's kicking in. All right, man, let's see what he has to say. JasonBlaha says most people need more than rows and pull-ups for big biceps. They do? What do they need more than that? Well, they need food, but I guess JasonBlaha doesn't promote food. Okay.
For the majority of people, rows and
Well, not just any food. They need protein, a lot of it.
pull-ups are not going to be enough to develop really good biceps. Hey, everybody. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about
Rows and pull-ups are not going to be enough to develop biceps. And how would he know that? He's never developed his biceps. What did he do to develop his biceps? Is this based on his experience? Because I got to explain to you, man. If you see people and they have no bicep and then they're trying to tell you that these things that these things are not enough to help develop biceps, and doing specific things or doing certain things or whatever the heck they're talking about there, body does the talking. You don't have to speak. Your body will do the talking. You understand me? If you have big biceps, it's kind of obvious. And I'm not talking about they were created with drugs artificially, temporarily, while you take a drug, and if you don't take it, it goes away.
this today. And I represent a perfect example of this because I have said in the past many years ago.
He represents a perfect example of this? Oh, because he does them, they don't work for him. Well, because he doesn't eat anything. He thinks exercises and pull-ups build biceps. They don't build biceps. They destroy your biceps. They break down proteins, and they can cause micro injuries, or they will break down proteins and you'll shrink them if you don't eat enough protein. If you're not in a positive nitrogen balance, they will shrink. That's why people complain a lot. I go to the gym and I'm getting smaller. You're getting smaller because you're just not eating enough, and you're breaking way too many proteins down now. Even though you have a window for protein synthesis, you're just not eating enough.
Many years ago, particularly in phases where I said, I don't want to do any curls, or I'm going to do curls. Most of the time I do curls as an afterthought. I never really had days that were heavily focused on arms, such as what I do now. For a little while I had an arm-specific day, and what I do now, of course, I do pull-ups or chin-ups first.
Yes, you know what the best part is? A lot of these lifting slaves, what do? Well, I'm going to eat a lot of carbs. I'm going to carb load. I'm going to carbohydrate load. You don't want to know where those carbs are going. They're turning into fat. You're getting fat is what you're getting. You're going to load a lot of it in your muscle, and a lot of it's going to load in your fat cells. Well, it'll load as glycogen, and it'll load as triglyceride, okay?
And then I do curls, and I push curls really hard, but I'm starting with exercises that at least use them to some extent. So I'm not doing chest work, I'm not doing shoulder work or any of that stuff before doing biceps. I'm only doing some pulling, and then I go into curls, and I treat them like really serious exercises, taking them to failure, focusing on form, which you guys will see a couple of.
Yeah, taking them to failure. Get it? He's failing. He's taking them so they could fail. Look, man, I'll explain this quick too. Do a little education here. This is that map again from nuclei overload, precedes hypertrophy. It's a thing from NCBI. So notice here it says untrained first training satellite cell fusion, and then it hypertrophies. What is causing it to hypertrophy? What is causing it? You're gonna say, well, it says here it gave you some nuclei, so the nuclei hypertrophied the muscle. Yeah, well, nuclei, they synthesize protein to hypertrophy, but did they hypertrophy? I don't know how much they hypertrophied. Did you reach its MND size limit now? See, when you come in, look, does it say trained people? Get this? This is damage. It says untrained satellite cell fusion. What is that exactly? What is that? What's going on there? I'll explain what's going on there. This is what's going on there. Do they say trained here? They always say unaccustomed. Unaccustomed exercise consisting of what? Eccentric, i.e. lengthening muscle contractions often result in muscle damage. It doesn't say trained. It says unaccustomed. It says untrained. Unaccustomed gets what? Gets this damage. See that? You understand me? And then it says it results in what? Ultrastructural alterations in muscle tissue. Clinical signs and symptoms are what when you get this damage? Reduced muscle strength and range of motion. Increased muscle soreness and swelling. So if you can't understand that, you really need to go back to school, dude. So look, even if I type untrained, say I type untrained in there, see what it says. Muscle damage from eccentric exercise. A unique feature of eccentric exercise is that what? Untrained subjects become stiff and sore the next day afterwards because of what? Damage to muscles. See that, dude? Untrained muscles get you damaged. See this? This is eccentric exercise. See that? Eccentric damage from eccentric exercise. See that? Adaptation and clinical signs. It's an adaptation process. Eccentric exercise, a contracting muscle is forcibly lengthened. Yes, it is. So that's what causes damage. Okay, dude? So untrained gets damaged. They never say trained people. You want to know what trained people get? Here's another one. Unfamiliar. Unfamiliar forms. See? It is well accepted that damage occurs with unfamiliar exercise, primarily involving eccentric contractions. For example, downhill running places a large eccentric stress on the quadriceps muscle groups and commonly results in what? Muscle damage. You want to know what trained people get? I'll tell you what trained people get when they get into the gym. All right? Hold on. It's this one right here. Sorry. Sometimes you have to type it up a certain way to get it to come out. Okay, here we go. Myofiber hypertrophy in response to 6 weeks of high volume resistance training. Now, people that are trained, they're trained already because they've been lifting for 6 weeks. They're not unaccustomed, they're not untrained, and they're not doing unfamiliar forms. To get muscle damage, that's how you get damaged muscles. It says here, high volume resistance training in trained young men is largely attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic who? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Oh my God, what is that? An artificial muscle growth. You're loading glycogen in the muscle. You are an endurance athlete. If you are lifting in the gym every single day, you are an endurance athlete. You understand me? So the problem is that I'll tell you why. Because a majority of your diet is carbohydrate. Very little, you guys are eating very little protein and you're eating a drug-induced diet called carbohydrates. Now, if you cut out the carbohydrates, right, you can experiment. Cut all the carbohydrates out. You can be an adapted lifter in the gym for sure. I'm not saying you can't be adapted. You can try and open a window for protein synthesis, definitely. You go to the gym, you lift, open a window. You don't have to go to failure doing these weird things, okay? All you have to do is lift, open a window, and then you have to be in a positive nitrogen balance where protein synthesis exceeds breakdown in proteins. I'm not talking about in muscle damage. I'm talking about in proteins, you're losing proteins. So you need to increase the contractile proteins. Okay, how do you do that? Be a positive nitrogen balance. You need to eat as much meat as you can after your workout to the point where you can't eat any more meat in that one session. You just have to keep eating until you're full, until you can't eat anymore. And now you're anabolic. And now it'll grow. Your muscles will grow, okay? So yeah, but like I said, the reason why in this experiment they explain to you, they tell you here about mitochondrial glycogen concentrations were altered in individuals with exhibited mean skeletal, because they know what these people are eating in college. They know the food that they're eating. That's why they attributed it to sarcoplasmic, because they're eating too much carbs, more carbs than protein. That's their problem. There's more carbs than protein. So it's like you became an endurance athlete, like a runner. Think about it. Runners, people that run long distances, do they eat a lot of protein or do they eat a lot of carbohydrates? What's the first thing they always eat? What do? I got to load carbs. That's the problem with a lot of people. You're loading carbs and you're not eating enough protein. All right. Anyways, you get the point. And yeah, as far as this map over here, this untrained whatever satellite cell and all that, yeah, it synthesizes protein. But guess what happens? It has an MND size limit, like I said before. Reaches a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to what? Satellite cell to do what? To support further muscle growth. How do you support further muscle? How do you get it to support further muscle growth? Well, I told you already in the first three things that we talked about. What were they? Unaccustomed, untrained, and unfamiliar forms will get you what? This damage. And so the progenitor would donate its nuclei to that domain to support what? Further muscle growth. But that domain has to be pushed. For it to donate its nuclei, it has to be pushed in that session. There will be a repair and a remodeling, but you want it to donate its nuclei to synthesize more protein. Well, you're just not going to donate it. It's not going to donate it and synthesize protein because you're eating one bowl of Cocoa Puffs. Do you understand me? What's the point? That's why people are complaining. I reached my newbie gains, this, that. You never really reached your newbie gains because you have an influx of these nuclei. You have to reach that domain first by doing what? By being anabolic. You need to be in a positive nitrogen balance. You need to be growing, but you're not growing because you're lazy eating. And then you think, well, steroids are going to make me grow out of thin air. No, doesn't work like that, dude. But whatever. It's complicated. It's complicated. It's like orchestrated process. Orchestrated. Yes.
That I do in this video, and in doing that, I feel like my
Yeah, I feel like he's doing what here? He's not getting damaged, right? There's no repair and remodeling. There's definitely no repair and remodeling going on here. And he's not building up contractile proteins on his myofibrillar or damaging, repairing, and remodeling. He's not doing either of these things. So what exactly is Blaha doing here? He eats a lot of carbohydrates. He promotes carbs a lot. So you remember what I just showed you, 6 weeks of what? It's attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. He comes to the gym and he lifts every day. So what would that make him? An endurance athlete. He's an endurance lifter. He's adapting to lifting weights for sure. He's adapted to lifting, what you would call heavy weight, I guess, right? But in reality, yeah, that's about it. He never really got stronger because he never built any muscle.
arms have come up and my
Tonight, you've got
my biceps have become more balanced. Now, it doesn't mean that my triceps aren't still lagging a little bit, but at least my biceps have become a little more proportional.
He looks really puffy again. He's eating a lot of carbs again. He's on the TRT, and the steroids are going to absorb a lot of this glycogen into the muscle. You see what I mean? He wants to impress you with puffy muscles. Okay.
That, as I close in on 50 years old after years of strength training. And I want to be clear.
But but here's the problem. He is deteriorating because of his whatever it is he's doing here. This excessive lifting is deteriorating him, and his diet and just a whole bunch of stuff. The TRT. That's why he looks terrible. Look at his legs. Look at his body. This looks terrible.
I used to say, well, look, I've known guys.
Man, I never seen a person that has aged themselves over 20 years. The guy's 47 and he looks 80. This is terrible.
Who do very, very few curls, if they do on occasion, like I knew a guy, I mentioned when I was in the UK, right? Over a decade ago when I was making content, I met a guy at a gym I chatted with. He was a bit older than me then. Guy had big arms, big guy all the way around. Wasn't particularly lean, but he was jacked, had
Keeps talking about other people. What about himself? I don't see anything here.
really big arms. And he kind of said, I don't really do arm work. He's like, occasionally, maybe once a month, I come in, put my back up against the Smith machine here and grab a bar and do some strict curls, right? You grab an easy curl bar and do strict curls, about once a month. And for the most part, he's like, I just focus on rows and lat pull downs and pressing. And, and I use that as an example. And we've all seen examples of that guy, people out there who develop really good arms while doing just big compound movements. Okay, they do exist.
Do you understand why real bodybuilding is not marketable? Because it's based on money. And the majority of these lifting gym slaves out there that are going to these gym slaves, they don't have any money. They can't afford to eat. They can't afford to eat steak every single day, especially for hours after their workout. They just can't afford to eat. So it's not marketable. Real bodybuilding is not marketable to anybody. That's why they're always looking for that. Maybe he's got the secret lift that will make my arms grow out of this breatharian diet. Or maybe he's got the pill like GO2 Max, like Greg Doucette. He'll sell you every pill in the book. He's got a cookbook for you, which is all fake. I would call it the estrogen book because it's all based on carbohydrates. It's just a carbohydrate cookbook. What is a cookbook? Well, it's not based on meat because he wouldn't sell you a cookbook on meat. What would you do? Barbecue it. You don't need to prepare meat. It's just you barbecue. Meat can be eaten raw. But I'm just saying, what would he have in his cookbook? Here's how to turn on the barbecue. I mean, come on. So it's an estrogenic book. How to increase estrogen. The book is how to keep people with a high estrogen. That's what it does. So they can't build any muscles. You understand me? For people out there, he sells you a fake diet book. It's called the fake estrogenic diet book. That's what it really is. Fake food diet book. It's weird. It's just based on fake food. It's not based on your diet. It's not based on what you should be eating as a carnivore. So he wants to sell you this carbohydrate book, whatever, estrogen, increase your estrogen, everything. You're not going to build any muscle. Then he sells you these pills in hopes you're going to build muscles, and the circle diet and whatever else. His plan of lifting weights, and lifting weights, they break down your body. They age you. So what exactly is he marketing and selling you? What you want? Because in the back of your mind, you want to believe that weights build muscles, right? And that you can eat these carbohydrates, these drug-induced diets, because they're slave diet. So I'll eat my slave food, and then I'll go to a gym and lift weights. You know what I mean? And then I'll use his master plan of exercises or whatever he's pushing there, and I'll take these tablets. They'll help build my muscle or creatine or whatever. They'll make my lifts go up.
And we've seen some guys, particularly really lean guys who manage to get lean.
But like I said, real bodybuilding is based on money. You need money to build your body if you truly want to build it. Yeah, it's really simple. It just takes a lot of real protein, like a lot of real meat, steaks, beef. It takes a lot of beef and steaks and stuff to build your body. That's about it. That's all you need in water. And you need a plan of what you're going to do in the gym. That's about it.
Lean gains guy, right? Martin Burkham. He used to say, he's like, look, I don't really do bicep work. I just got really, really strong at weighted chins. And he was really lean, but I think what people have to keep in mind, Martin didn't have massive biceps. He looked good because he was so lean and just decently proportionally developed, right? And probably overall good genetics. So people need a context for that. But Martin didn't have really big arms.
He didn't, did he?
Okay, you're not.
He didn't, did he?
Looking at him thinking, man, that guy's got some 19-inch guns or anything. But he was so lean, the fact that he had decent biceps made them look great, right? Because he was just shredded.
Okay.
So understand that difference, okay? There are guys who just genetically are going to build big arms, or there are guys who they just look good overall, so you don't notice that they don't have great arms because it doesn't matter.
Yes, Blaha, yes. He doesn't know how they built their arms or what they did. They took TRT, okay? They built him artificially. They're artificial. They're not real.
Because the total package they're bringing is pretty balanced. So
You know, it's funny how he thinks that people that build things artificially are building them real. Man, if you have money, you don't have to build anything artificial. You can build it real.
you have to look at it in that context. The other thing that people used to point out, if someone pointed out, well, look at gymnasts. How many gymnasts, they don't do curls, and a lot of them have great biceps. Look at all these male gymnasts. They spend all their time on rings and doing all these pull-ups and muscle-ups and swinging, and look at their arms. But I want people to put that in perspective. That's not a good reply either, right? Because not every gymnast does. They're talking about the world-class gymnast. Well, when you think of a world-class gymnast, how much training are they doing? They're training for hours every day. They're getting arm work on that stuff every single day. That is not an efficient way to build arms, first of all, for everyone
Oh, they are they? Okay.
else. Do 2 hours of gymnastics work 5-6 days a week or more, or 4 hours of it, just trying to get what you could have done with some curls. Did you guys see the problem there, number one? Number two, obviously not all of them develop it. There's still a genetic component. But if they're Olympic level gymnasts, they're obviously very genetically gifted towards certain muscle fiber distributions and things, okay? They're above average. They're
A
not.
lot of gymnasts are doing a lot of stretching. They're doing a lot of stretching on their muscle. Something's gotta give there eventually, of course. You know what I mean? They're just it's just on some specific movements and exercises, like shoulders. And you notice gymnastics, what they do. Watch what they're doing. What are their exercises? What exactly are gymnasts doing in the gym? Well, you'll see these guys do reverse flies for their shoulders, and they'll do, like, a bunch of stuff using their biceps because they're doing the rings. They're pulling their body up on rings and stuff, right? Something that they're doing a lot of. I don't know. You have to see what they're doing exactly. I took gymnastics, so I already know these things.
Not the average Joe. They're going to be an athletically gifted person, very possibly with a higher distribution of faster twitch muscle fibers, which we know have the most long-term growth potential. Okay? Their maximum size potential is going to be higher. Number three,
They do. They have the maximum growth potential and all that type 2. But they'll reach an MND size limit, and they have the potential to grow, providing protein synthesis exceeds that breakdown. But if that protein never exceeds that breakdown, then they're not growing. You understand me? And it has to be consistent.
they're obviously probably on stuff if they're in a
Look, your nitrogen balance, it can't be negative. Not even if you wake up in the morning and your nitrogen balance is negative, then you're no longer anabolic. See what I mean? You're throwing off now. You're working out in a negative state. These people that say, "Well, I'm going to work out starved in the gym, fasted, starvation diet. I'm going to go and starve myself and work out in the gym." Well, you're in negative nitrogen balance. Remember, there is a window for protein synthesis, but there's a window for protein breakdown. You're breaking down more proteins than you're building up. And then they go and eat a slave diet. You understand me? And then they complain why they're shrinking or they look terrible. What's wrong with them? They just start looking worse and worse, like that Marky Wahlberg guy.
athlete. Okay, drug testing doesn't work that well. As Victor Conte said, it's an IQ test. That's all it is. So in light of all of that, you have to look at that and go, is that really
Fasting is the worst thing you can do to yourself. It's the opposite of anabolic. It's catabolic. These people promoting fasting diets, it's to destroy you. The government, they don't care about you. They'll do anything to weaken you and destroy you. They'll put out information. You have to discern through the information that they're putting out. I'm not interested in destroying myself. I'm interested in building myself. So I'm looking for information that will build me. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in, I have to starve myself, or there's an autophagy or something like that. No, if you're on your natural diet, then you don't need to worry about all these things, about diseases, metabolic diseases, or things that are going to happen to you. I'm going to fall apart because my machinery doesn't work because I can't stop eating a drug-induced carbohydrate drug diet. If you're eating drugs all day, what did you expect? Of course, you're going to get sick, metabolic diseases, and everything else. So if you eat your natural diet, you as a carnivore eat your natural. If you eat your food, meat. Forget about diet. If you eat meat, you as a carnivore, then you won't run into trouble. But you as a carnivore, if you eat outside the realm, if you break the laws of nature, there's laws. Never mind man's laws. If you break the laws of nature, you're gonna pay the price, dude. Get it? Yeah. So you don't want to be catabolic. You don't want to listen to anybody that's promoting fasting diets or anything like that. You want to listen to people with intelligence and reason why you should stick to eating meat, what you're supposed to be eating as a carnivore. You are not an omnivore, so you should stop grazing as an omnivore. Get it? You should be grazing as a carnivore. You should be eating meat. Don't eat anything else. And you don't have to be fat, and you don't have to fast then to fix your problems. I got to fix my drug-induced problem, drug addict problems by fasting myself. And then I'll go back to eating my slave omnivore diet or whatever. You understand me, man? Eating the wrong whatever diet. So don't do any of those things. You don't need any of those things. You don't need any of those things. Just eat meat and water, and you're going to be super fine, dude. And you can eat as much meat as you want because it's based on nutrients. It isn't based on, I'm going to see how much sugar I can down, sugar and toxins, and whatever, cellulose, which you can't digest.
Efficient way, like you need to pick good genetics and then spend 4 hours a day on the gymnast rings and you'll have just as good a biceps as them. But
you don't need good genetics. There's no such thing. That's just baloney. Muscle has nothing to do with genetics if muscle wants to grow.
bodybuilders with better biceps who just do curls. You guys kind of see where I'm going with that?
He's making all these things up. He's just fabricating them. He's making them up. They make no sense.
And in my case, as once I started doing more and more curls and really focusing on doing them correctly, my arms have been coming up.
No, they haven't. Because if they did, he'd have something to show for them. He wouldn't have to say they're coming up. He would be able to show you they're coming up.
Keep in mind, I still don't have amazing arms, but they've improved late in
No, they haven't. He has got no arms, and they haven't improved.
life after years and years and years and years and years of training and coaching.
Years and years and years of training, and Blaha hasn't grown 1 inch of muscle. He hasn't grown any muscle whatsoever.
And everything else, they've improved. Okay? They have improved and they're going to continue to improve. I don't think that's going to stop because now
They're not going to continue to improve. You're deteriorating faster than you're aging. He's an old man already. He's 47 years old. How can they improve if he's deteriorating? Hi, man. I'm deteriorating. But they're improving. They have lots of room to improve. They're gonna improve. How will they improve, Blaha? How can you, Chris? Here's a question, Blaha. How will you? You could possibly improve yourself depending on what you're eating, but he eats an artificial diet, so they're deteriorating. They're deteriorating faster than he's aging.
I'm kind of doing all the catch up with all that, putting a focus on.
Because he's breaking the laws of nature. He's eating food that is not what he's supposed to be eating as a carnivore. As a carnivore, you're not supposed to be eating those foods. So he's going to deteriorate faster than he ages.
And that's very much the point. You know, use me as an example. Instead of using all these gifted individuals, use me as an example. I don't have
Yeah, I'm going to use him as an example. I am doing it now in a reaction video.
genetic gifts in the arms. I'm not blessed there. I don't have the best insertions. I don't have long.
Those are excuses he's making up. I don't have insertions. I don't blessed and all that. These are excuses. They're pure excuses. Think about it. If I did my arms every single day, let's just say that's all I did, my biceps and my triceps, because I don't want to leave them out. So let's say I did my biceps and triceps, and then I ran down to the buffet, and I just ate for like a couple hours, I don't know, lots and lots of meat. Then the next day I come in. I'm an adapted lifter. There's no more damage. It's protected by repeated bout effect. There's no damage. I'm not unaccustomed, untrained, or unfamiliar doing these things, okay? I'm not trying to shoot for muscle damage. I'm just trying to get an open window for protein synthesis and increase the mass on the myofibrillar, okay? So that the protein can exceed that breakdown. Okay, so I do my arms. I run down. I eat lots and lots of protein all day. I come back tomorrow, I repeat, do my arms again, okay? I do a couple of sets. Nothing major. I don't want to cause any muscle damage or anything like that. I just want to cause an open window for protein synthesis. And I do this every single day. I do it for 30 days straight. 30 days straight I do that, okay? And I eat a lot of protein. Will my arms not be bigger? Do you think my arms will not grow and be massive doing that in 30 days? Of course they will. You've never tried it, so you don't know. But I know for a fact, because I know a guy in the gym that did that. And I saw his arms. His arms were disproportionate from his body. They were massive. He was always walking around the gym with these massive arms. His body was kind of normal, but his arms were fucking massive all the time. And so all eyes were on his arms all the time. People saw him walking around, and the first thing they noticed, he had these huge arms, because that's what he did. Yeah. Now, with me too, my arms were always somewhat big, but they were still proportionate to my body. They were never over proportionate from my body. See what I mean? But I'm just saying.
Arms, it's harder to make them look stacked. Okay? So if a lot of you out there who are worried about arm development, you're probably more like me in that you don't have the best gifts in the world to have great arms. You're not going to have Arnold's arm genetics.
Yes, you guys will. You guys will if you do what I just said. You will. You will. Huh.
Or else you wouldn't be looking for info like this. You're probably the average.
Is stagnated info? Yeah, if you watch this, then this info he's giving will stagnate you, definitely.
Joe in terms of arm.
If you believe a weight is going to build you a muscle, then you will be stagnated. You'll be stagnated. Weights will not build you any muscle. You can try to lift as heavy as you can to high heaven, but you're going to get a stronger, but you're never going to get a bigger, because a stronger will never make you bigger. That's why in science they tell you myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. See that? That's why a stronger can't get you bigger, because a stronger does not control the mass of the limb muscles. Get it, bro? Look. I'll do this one more time for people on my channel, or people outside, or whatever. This is why a stronger is not going to get you bigger. See, myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. So a stronger cannot get you bigger, because a stronger does not control the mass of the limb muscles. Want to know what controls the mass of the limb muscles? Protein synthesis does. This controls it. Let me show you what controls it. If muscle is going to gain mass, protein synthesis must exceed protein breakdown. There you go, dude. So, and that's NCBI right there. So that's what controls the mass. Get it?
Arm genetics and arm potential.
That's why a stronger can't get you bigger. So all these people that think that they get a stronger, they're going to get a bigger, they're not going to get bigger. But if you eat a lot of carbohydrates and you're lifting, you may get a bigger, but it ain't going to be muscle.
What does that mean? It means you're going to actually have to work hard. And what I would say to you, strict curls, stop doing cheat curls, stop trying to just swing the most weight possible. If you are like me and you do not have the best arm genetics and you need to make up for that, you need to train.
Again, he's making up excuses. There's no such thing as arm genetics. There's no arm, there's muscle there. There's there's fibers, different types of fibers, like type 1, type 2. That's all there is in there. And he's not growing because he thinks weights build muscles. They don't build muscles.
Harder and smarter. That means
getting good at lifting weights, a stronger, is not going to make you a bigger, because a stronger does not control the mass of the limb muscles.
we need to come in and actually do curls.
Testosterone testosterone helps, but it doesn't control it. You understand me? It helps because it too synthesizes protein. Nuclei synthesize protein, but so does testosterone along with it.
Put a serious focus on them, treat them like serious exercises. Notice I take a lot of these sets to failure. Watch when I'm doing this stuff. I grind through without breaking form. Grind through with good form all the way to failure. Lower the last rep with as much control as you can, even though you know you can't do another one.
Yes, Blaha, and that is going to make it magically grow. Yes.
Try to get as much as you can out of that very last rep. Treat them like a serious exercise, but
yes, very hard. Yes, guys, and it's going to get massive.
Don't overtrain your arms.
Yes.
Right? Don't come in and try to do 20 sets of curls and think.
See how it's working for Blaha? His arms are massive already. They're huge.
That's going to fix it. You know, 6 to 8 sets, maybe 10 sets a week of direct bicep.
A week, 10 sets, direct biceps. Yes, guys. This is the formula.
Work, push it really hard, use strict form, try to get full range of motion.
And then eat a lot of carbohydrate and look pumped, fakely pumped.
And just get progressively stronger at it. And that means you still may be using kind of.
See, get progressively stronger at it. Myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. Get progressively stronger, because if you get a stronger, maybe you're going to get a bigger. I really doubt that, though. Okay.
Light weights, because biceps are a small muscle, and if you're not gifted, they're going to be a small muscle, so they're not going to move a lot of weight. So
if you're gifted, they're going to be a small muscle. They're not going to move a lot of weight. Okay.
Quit cheating, quit unloading the biceps of different things you're doing, and just focus on really moving them through a full range of motion under control, and just get.
Here's the thing. I told you before, his body reached, you guys all reached an MND size limit during hypertrophic process. You are skating uphill. You understand me? It's beyond where the progenitor can donate any more extra nuclei to support further muscle growth. You understand me? You hit an MND size limit. I showed it in the beginning. You understand me? That's why none of you are growing. That's why Blaha's not growing. They synthesize protein. You need more of them. So what do you need to do? You need to do what science says. Untrained, unaccustomed, unfamiliar forms. Get what? Get this damage. You understand me, man? And they don't get damaged, with a repeated bout. Remember that. Repeated bout effect phenomenon protects muscle with a repeated bout of muscle damage. So they don't get damaged with a repeated bout. So when do they get damaged? What does science say? When do they get damaged? When they're repaired and remodeled. Okay, how long does muscle take to repair and remodel? The shortest time is 7 days. 7 days is the shortest time. Okay? And usually it'll go 10 to 14 days. All right? But 7 days is the shortest, providing you are in a positive nitrogen balance. You understand me? You're anabolic. But if you're not, forget it. You're wasting your time. Okay, dude?
Get slowly, progressively stronger at your curls after doing all your pull-ups and chin-ups. And I promise you, your arms will start growing.
He lied to you. I promise you they will never grow if you do what he said. But if you do what I said, they will grow. They will grow if you do what I said. But if you do what he just said, they're never going to grow. I'll see you in the next one. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. See you in the next one. Ciao, friends.